I am Ho Chi Minh. I have returned from my place of rest to set the record straight. Many Australians were led to believe that I caused the Vietnam War, but the truth is that the steps I took would have avoided a war. Yes, I set Vietnam on the path of communism, but my real aim was to create an independent Vietnam, free of colonial rule. Communism for me was simply a means to an end. I was not a zealot. I viewed communism as a useful governance system for the people of my country. I tried to ally with the US, but they rejected my offer due to fear of communism. The end result was a deepening divide between communism versus capitalism all around the world, which led to a horrific war that made many countries suffer, including Australia. I was born in 1890 and grew up in a small town in central Vietnam. My father was a teacher and a fervent nationalist who lost his job because he refused to learn French. This instilled in me the desire to fight for Vietnam's independence from colonial rule. After receiving my primary education, I travelled to the US, UK, and Europe with my brother. I often worked as a kitchen hand or a waiter and experienced firsthand the exploitation and mistreatment of workers. In France, I discovered the works of Marx and Lenin and became convinced that communism would be the best governance system for Vietnam as a basis for my people to gain their independence. I petitioned for Vietnamese independence at the Versailles Peace Conference but was rejected. In disgust, I became a founding member of the French Communist Party and travelled to Moscow and China, working with the communist parties in those countries and meeting Stalin and Leon Trotsky. When the Japanese moved into Vietnam in 1940 during World War II, I decided that Vietnam could be taken from the Japanese and become an independent country. I returned to lead the Viet Minh, who were a fighting force fighting both the Japanese and the French. They were a skilled fighting force that used guerrilla warfare and were extremely well trained to fight in tight spaces and move through the forest quickly and quietly. Unfortunately, after World War II ended and the Japanese were defeated, my attempts to create an independent state failed due to the other world leaders fearing my belief in communism. I tried to ally with the US, because we had served together against the Japanese in World War II. They refused my advances, even though our alliance would have changed the course of history. I was not a revolutionary. I just wanted to fight colonialism and create an independent and unified Vietnam, but the US leaders never understood this. They unnecessarily feared the so-called domino effect of an increasingly communist world. The French violently took back Vietnam, which triggered the First Indochina War. We fought the French and were victorious in capturing Hanoi in 1954. So driving out the French, and I became the leader of North Vietnam. And at the Geneva conference that year, Vietnam was divided into two. As a result of my lack of full allegiance with either Moscow or Peking, my prominence within my party began to decline as I resigned as president of the Vietnam Communist Party in 1955. With my waning power, Vietnam became even more of a hardline communist, and this inevitably led to the Second Indochina War, or Vietnam War, where the North Vietnam fought against US troops in South Vietnam who were opposed to reunification. Despite this, the Western media portrayed me as an authoritarian ruler of North Vietnam, and the US presidents called me Old Ho and blamed me for the rise of communism. The reality was that I was used as a figurehead, but not really the driving force behind the Vietnam War. I hope you understand the part I played in the Vietnam War. If I had succeeded in aligning with the Americans, I could have stopped the invasion of the American troops in Vietnam. I could have stopped the thousands and thousands of casualties of Americans, Australians, and Viet Minh in the Vietnam War. Some people consider that I started this horrific war, with its major deforestation, Agent Orange causing birth defects, and a significant number of human casualties. I have been remembered as a leader who caused the devastating war when I only wanted Vietnam to prosper among other independent countries as allies.